Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are continuing with TWICEcoaster Lane 1, Part 2. Confusing with the numbers, I know, but here we are. I'm not gonna talk too much. This album has been super cute and fun so far, so let's get into the last few songs. I have no idea what this is gonna be. Oh, hello. Interesting synths happening. Cute. Oh my gosh, all of the synths happening. I love that we're starting with Sana and Mina's voices. They're so cute. I love the like pinky hey, it's so cute. I love the like what-ohs in the back too are super cute, but the instrumentation is super interesting with the like all the synths, little synth sounds with like percussion coming through. I'm like getting distracted by it. Like really heavy drums. Okay, I know we're getting into the chorus, but the percussion is like the percussion and the instrumentation in general is throwing me off. There's so many like synth sounds happening and this like almost like wind up synth that keeps happening, like it's swelling in the back, and it's just like transitioning between the different vocalists, which is really cool. All of them having like a really light, bright sound to them. I love all of the almost like hopping around cadences that they're doing, where they'll flip up into almost like a falsetto, and then other times where they're almost, it's almost sliding, but not quite. Kind of. There are some vocal slides now that I think back on some of the melodies. So it's just like a really fun, bouncy sound to all of it. But the synths are like throwing me in the instrumentation. Oh, okay. I love that chorus. I love the vocal melodies that they chose in it. It's almost like, and again, preface this with the fact that I don't have any great training in music, but it almost feels like they're doing like half notes or almost like minor falls. Again, I know people who watch these videos actually know music theory, and you can fill me in it. I think if it's like descending, it doesn't feel like they're going down like a full note as you would expect in most vocal melodies, which is why I'm like, it feels almost like a half note or like a minor or something that they're falling on that just has this like melancholy to it in the way that it works with like the rest of the progression in the vocals, which I think fits really well with the topic of the song, which is kind of like this confusion of, I'm assuming like some kind of fight, some issue that is happening in the relationship. We did have Jelly Jelly before this, so it does seem that within the progression of the album, maybe this kind of infatuation is a little bit on the rocks at the moment. But I love that chorus. It's so much fun. All of the instrumentation is really fun, but I feel like it falls a little bit farther back from the vocals than it has up to this point. And it just like, it's so much fun. I could picture myself dancing to this song when it comes on. I bet the choreo's cute. Right there. Let me know what that progression is. It's almost like the synths almost sound like brass instruments, which is cool too. Cute. Cute. Ooh, I love the way that Chaeyoung transitioned from like singing to more of like a rap voice there. That was super cute. I love the like my eyes became heart-shaped. That's so cute. Like the imagery in this song is super cute too, of like just like the puppy love, the infatuation, and it almost feels like a first love in a lot of ways, where like you think that it'll be simple, it'll work out like in movies and TV shows, like fictional versions of falling in love and being in a relationship, but then when like you're actually stepping into the world of like having romantic relationships and stuff like that, it's so much more complicated because it involves real people, and people are complicated, especially like when you're younger, and there's so much going on, it feels like, when you're younger. It gets even more complicated when you're an adult, but you just kind of like, I don't know, resign yourself to the fact that things are going to be complicated and that it's gonna take work to make a relationship actually work out. Whereas I feel like when you're younger and it's like the beginning of you getting into like romantic relationships or even just like having crushes, you feel like it should be simple and straightforward, and that even when there's like obstacles, it'll all like work out and be tied with a bow and things like that, because that's how it works out in the movies. But then when you're in it, you're like, sometimes there just isn't closure. Sometimes things just don't have a good conclusion to them. Sometimes they just don't work. And it can be really confusing because you're like, but I have all of these feelings and that should be enough, right? But it isn't a lot of the time. So it really feels like that, but there's so much cute imagery in it. And I really love the way that they're playing with the vocal melodies. It just has this like bounce to it that I love. Even that like ascending melody. That's really cute. Before we get into the chorus too, there was like the one lyric too that was like, if I'm nice to you, then it'll work or whatever, which is kind of the same thing. It's like, if I care enough, if I express enough that I care about you, then this has to work out, right? Which is very much like a young love kind of way of seeing any kind of relationship, of like, if we're in love enough, if we prove that we're in love enough, it has to work. Whereas like when you're a grown-up, you kind of figure out that you can love someone and still not have the relationship work. Like loving someone isn't necessarily enough to have a functional relationship. And that's not just like romantic, that can also be with like friendships, that can be family, people that you care about very deeply, but you know that it isn't like a beneficial relationship for either of you. It can be destructive on both sides. And even if not destructive, it isn't necessarily beneficial, right? Like there isn't something productive in keeping that relationship alive, even if you do care about that person. I think it's more devastating when it's like a long-lasting kind of thing. This feels more like a more newer connection with someone, as opposed to like you can have like childhood friendships that like you get to a point where you're older and you just don't connect in the same way. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some kind of big fallout, some kind of big fight or whatever. It's just that, you know, you could get more out of devoting the same amount of like emotional energy into a different friendship, right? So it is one of those things where you kind of get to that. You want to think that if you put in enough, you'll get the same thing out of a relationship with someone, but it isn't necessarily the case. So it is like a little bit heartbreaking, because it feels like they're trying so hard to make something work that maybe necessarily isn't destined to work out for them. This buildup is like a little bit intense though. Even the lyrics in the chorus are sad. Like, her vocals. Oh no, her vocals there like were heartbreaking, that like flip up into the falsetto. But I do kind of get the like, you know, like the pit-a-pat being the like sound of your heart, right? So it can be kind of like that falling in love where your heart rate kind of goes up. It can also be like anxiety about something and having your heart rate go up. But I think also like saying like the world heard it, like everyone knows that I feel this way, but it doesn't mean that it'll work, right? It doesn't mean that the other person will reciprocate that. It doesn't mean that even if you are very vocal and out there about how you care about someone, that will make it work, right? It almost feels like if you have to put on a show for it, it's because you're like compensating for the fact that it isn't on as sturdy a foundation as you want people to believe, right? So if you have like a great relationship, you don't need to prove it to anybody, regardless of what that relationship is. It doesn't have to be romantic, it can also be like a friendship. If you're trying so hard to prove that you're like best friends with someone, maybe you're not actually best friends with them. You know what I mean? So it does feel that way too, of like them talking about how like I felt like my heart was breaking and like I couldn't breathe and that kind of a thing. It does feel very sad, but at the same time, this is a really upbeat song that I just want to dance to and I want to see choreo for. But it does have that sadness to it of just like trying so hard and wanting something to work, and it doesn't seem like that's the route that it's gonna take. Nayeon's vocal though. Oh, that vocal, I had shivers everywhere. I love that. I love that whole bridge, the breakdown, the kind of conflicting things of like, again, still wanting it to work. And it's like, I just want to see where this is going, right? Like, I just want to try and see if there's like an end in sight. And even just the like in the chorus where it's like, you know, stand by me, of wanting someone to like fight for the relationship too, right? Because again, if it's one-sided, if you're putting in all of this effort and trying to make something work, you need the other person to meet you halfway if you want to actually repair a relationship. You can't just be the only one who's putting in all the work, because it takes two to make a relationship work. So you need the other person to be putting in as much effort as you are, or it's just going to have this huge imbalance in the relationship. Beautiful. And the ad-libs. Just gonna play it out. Oh, yeah, no, that song was like low-key sad and like the lyrical content, but the production in it is so much fun. I love their fun vocals in it. The like vocal slides, the like ups and downs of the melody. There's some really cute moments of just them getting to say like really cute imagery again of that kind of infatuation and things like that. Might be one of my favorite songs so far. I was like, Jelly Jelly might be my favorite, ending off the first part of my reaction, not counting TT, of course, like the lead single. But I think I like this one more. It just has like a bounce to it. We still have a couple of songs, so you know we can still decide that. But that was so cute. I love that. Instantly going on my playlist because it's so much fun. Okay, next page. Okay, no, that song started off way too fast. Like drums and then having Chaeyoung right at the beginning. I feel like they're trying to hurt me personally. Like they've, even though this is years ago, I feel like this is a personal attack on me. Like Pang Pang is so cute too. This song, okay, no, this song is cute too. I love the instrumentation on it. Again, fun, bouncy melodies with their vocals, which I love. I love that they just play with it, and the fact that they're good enough vocalists. Like they're so good. I mean, I've heard some of their recent stuff too, where like they really, really get to show off how much work they've put into their voice over the years. So they can make those jumps in the melodies and do them like super cleanly. I'm thinking back to like Jelly Jelly again, where they did that jump from O and Jelly Jelly so cleanly, every single one of them that did it. So they can do fun things like that because their vocals are like that good, that I love that they're just playing with it, right? Like the fact that they don't have to worry about those melodies being difficult for them, that they can just like have fun and play around and like use their voice in that way. I love it. I love getting to see it consistently. I love that calm response too. Okay, Tsuyu. Her voice there is so nice, like smooth and like light, but she had like this wonderful like little bit of closure. It's almost like it's almost into a whisper tone, but not quite. You can hear how close she is to the microphone. So she's not like putting a ton of breath into her voice. You can still hear like the closure is really stable. I love that. I love that she got like a standout moment. I feel like those aren't as common in their earlier stuff, and that makes me sad because she has a beautiful voice and I want to hear more of it. A little vibrato too. Cute. Oh, I love that melody. Oh, okay, no. The second half of this album is hitting different. The first part was super fun, don't get me wrong. Super fun, loved it, had a fun time. The melodies in the second part so far, hitting me different. This is probably so much fun live. Oh, the echo. Oh, I love all the imagery of like the colors, like the red light, green light, and like even like the yellow light is like slow, right? So it's almost like this idea of like it has to be all or nothing. And that's kind of what is stopping them from like actually interacting with this person that they're trying to like get, you know, the next page on, right? Like they're trying to get to the next part of the story with this person, other than kind of from a distance and kind of like the admiration that they have from that distant place. But they feel like it has to be all or nothing, right? Because of like the admiration that they feel, right? Where it feels like you're already in a different place from the other person, which can be really disorienting, right? Because if you've spent enough time paused when you've seen someone and you're like, I want to connect with this person, I want to learn more about them, but you're still staying in that kind of paused position, it doesn't stop you from fantasizing and coming up with your own idea of who that person is. So when you do end up connecting with that person, you have an image in your brain already of who they are. For you, you've spent a bunch of time getting to know this person, even though you haven't really. So it's this very one-sided thing. And, you know, we're thinking of it in this song about actually interacting with someone or like seeing someone from a distance, but I can very much see this translating to them as like performers too, because I feel like we've, as fans of not just Twice, but like any group, right? We've spent hours with these people, getting to know them, laughing with them, crying with them, experiencing things with them through, you know, their variety shows and their performances and their interviews and things like that, live streams. We've spent hours with them, but they haven't spent hours with us. So when we meet them or get to interact with them, we're coming into that interaction with like all of that experience that we have on our side. and we're acting in a way that feels appropriate to that, but I haven't spent the same amount of time with us, so they're coming to that interaction that way, right? Like it must be so jarring. To come from the side of like being a performer and interacting with fans. It's probably wonderful because, it's probably great to like hear these people tell you how much things that you create have affected them positively. But it must be overwhelming because to that person, they have like a whole relationship with you and you've just met them. So, again, that like red light, green light of like, it is either, nothing, you don't know this person, or green light, everything about them. And like, you don't have that slow in between part of that relationship. I know I went a little bit off book there, but it's something that I think about, about how it must feel to meet fans. I don't know that feeling because I'm not famous, but I guess like in some capacity I kind of do, because there are people who watch my videos and have spent probably hours, because I make really long videos, interacting with me, spending time with me, and I'm spending significantly less time interacting with just like comments with people. And I do love getting to chat with people and getting to respond to comments and things like that, but it can be overwhelming a little bit sometimes. And I'm like nowhere near any kind of like actual, I don't know, success or fame or whatever. Definitely not fame. So I can only imagine what it must be like for them. But my point is, I like the imagery of the traffic lights and the slow being broken. I went on a tangent. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry. I like the onomatopoeia. I was rocking out too much. Ooh, the like heartbeat sound. Oh, I feel like the pre-chorus in this is one of my favorite parts of this song. Tsuyu sounds beautiful, and there's just something about like the tone of her voice for that specific part that just hits perfectly. I love the heartbeat sound in the going into the bridge, because it feels like, when you're so nervous and you could hear like your heartbeat in your ears, that's what it feels like. And I feel like it just like immerses you in the feeling that they're trying to give of like that moment where you have to decide of like, okay, am I going to like take a step forward, go to the next page and like actually take a leap of faith with this, or am I going to stay in this paused position? And I love it from like a narrative standpoint. It is a little bit jarring though, because I don't want to be put in that anxious state. The clock too. Oh, I love the layered vocals. Oh, I love the held note. Oh, I loved that. I love all the imagery in it. I love that it really captures that like wanting to connect with someone more and like further a relationship, but like you don't actually know how to do that, or you're scared, and like you have all these fantasies and ideas in your head of like what the possibilities could be with this other person, but you're like stuck in that like holding position, because, you know, as long as you can keep it in your head of like this fantasy, it can be anything you want and it will work out exactly the way that you want it to because it's a fantasy. But the moment that you try to make it happen in reality, it can fall apart, things can go wrong. So there's this anxiety to that, right? Of like, even though I feel all of these things, again, you can't make the other person feel the same way. So even though you might have this like genuine feeling towards someone, they don't need to reciprocate that. And it can be very anxiety inducing to think that, you know, you feel all these things and you're just going to have to figure out what to do with them without having that other person reciprocate them. And I love all of the melodies in it, the vocalizations of like the layered vocals and the like just like O's and stuff in like the chorus, but also like the background. And it has this like melancholy to it, but it's still like upbeat. The second half of this album is hitting totally different. Now I'm like, I don't know if I like this song more than Pit a Pat. I don't know anymore. That's where I'm at. Like the angst, the internal conflict I'm gonna feel about like picking what my favorite song might be. We have one more though, so we'll have to give it a fair shot before we decide that. I have a sneaking suspicion the song is gonna be sad, or at least sentimental, and I'm not ready. Oh no, it's acoustic. Ugh, I got like lost in that one. I like, how often is it that I don't pause? Like immediately. Oh, I love that like descending vocal they have at the end of the phrases in the chorus. I love the idea of like saying like, come to me when like you're having like a hard time, but also come to me like when you're happy. Like I want to share in all of it. It's not just wanting to be in those good moments or wanting to just be that person who's there to like comfort you when something bad happens. It's like I want to experience all of the things that you're going through. I want to be there for all of it, which is like such a cute sentiment. And they like acoustic guitar. I feel like this is definitely for like once, and I'm just like, okay, it's fine. Oh, I love that too. Oh, okay. I love that. I love that it's useless to be mad on those that ruined your mood. Love that. I love the sentiment of like, it's a waste of time to like let someone ruin your day. It really is, because you get to choose who influences your mood and who like has enough power over you to dictate how you're feeling. And if someone is going to make you feel bad about yourself, who's like a complete stranger, that their comment doesn't have to matter to you. And I know that's easier said than done. And you have to get to a point where you could really shut that stuff out of your life. But I love that it's like, it's useless to just be like bad at someone who wants to ruin your day, who wants to ruin your mood, who's like lashing out at you because they need to deal with something in their life and they're choosing to take it out on you, which is not the right way to deal with it. And it's useless to like retaliate or like simmer on it. It doesn't matter, right? You get to choose who matters to you and whose comments matter to you. Again, easier said than done. But I love that sentiment of like, just like whatever they say, it doesn't matter. Like, do the things that make you happy as long as they like don't hurt anybody. It's okay to like follow your happiness. And if people want to be miserable and they want to try and drag you down, you don't have to let them. That's okay. The descending melody. Beautiful. Oh, I got like shivers like all the way from like my toes. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. And like it is, I don't know, I'm not a very sentimental person, so I feel like someone telling me I'm special doesn't really hit me in the same way. But I know that for some people, they crave that, right? Of like needing someone to say to them, like, it's okay. I believe in you. You can do this. You're special. Don't let anyone ever tell you differently. And I know how powerful it can be to like hear that one thing that just like hits differently. Like I have certain things where like I did not realize that I needed someone to say that to me until like I'd worked through some stuff, you know? Like there's definitely some therapy in my past that has helped me get to a point where I'm more at peace with myself and my place in my life and the world and things like that. And I know how powerful it is to just like hear that one thing. You don't even realize it. You hear it and it makes you break down because you're like, no one has said that to me, but it's like the one thing that I've been craving. So I know how important this song must be to some of the fans to just have someone say that to you and like have sincerity behind it, because it's one thing to like say just like the words, it's another thing to say it and mean it. And like the fact that they put in so much effort to make a whole song about it, just like I know that this has to be a special song to people. And they sound beautiful. Oh, the vocals are going off. Oh, that was so cute. It must be so powerful live too. I'm just thinking like having that many people in one space, like singing along to that sentiment. I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Because I know that like there are some songs where I'm like, oh, this song doesn't like hit me as hard. I get that it's special and things like that. And then I'm in like a live setting and I can see this like huge group of people all singing together and feeling the song together. That I'm like, oh my God. So I love that their vocals are beautiful. I love the acoustic guitar. It's like a finger plucking style, which is actually how I learned the guitar. Strumming took me a little while to figure out, oddly, because I learned like finger plucking instead, but it was so cute. Like this whole album is so cute, and like I knew that song was gonna get me. I feel like I'm only slightly holding on from like crying. I know that other people probably did cry when they first heard it. That was such a fun and cute album. I mean, always with Twice albums, there were just so many like cute images in it and like fun things that they were doing with the vocals, and the production things are always super interesting to me. I don't know why I had this like idea in my head that like pop music, the production is usually pretty straightforward, and I know that K-pop does it a little bit differently, but there's just something about having these like more simple like thematic ideas but having these really interesting production things in it. Like I go back and listen to Twice songs and I pick out all of these other little details in the instrumentation and like the way that the vocals play off of them, and I love that that's like this, I don't know, weird juxtaposition in the intricacy with the production versus like the kinds of things that they're singing about, even though like the lyrics, the way that they kind of play with sounds and stuff is always really interesting too. But the second half of the album was definitely my favorite. I loved the last few songs. I don't know if One in a Million hit me quite as much. I'm gonna admit that. I know that's probably a really special song to lots of people, and it definitely got me choked up, a little teary-eyed. But I'm not a super sentimental person when it comes to like needing that kind of comfort. I feel like my comfort in songs is like honestly a little bit darker. Honestly, when songs dig into like darker experiences, that's usually when I feel more connected to them because it makes me feel like someone else kind of understands where I'm coming from, as opposed to like comfort in like someone telling me that something's gonna be okay. I feel more comfort in being like seeing that someone else has gone through a similar experience. But I know that song is probably super special to so many people, and it's probably super powerful in like a live setting, even just like a video of a live where I'm sure you can hear like all of once singing together. I'm sure that's such a powerful moment. So I really enjoyed the album. Let me know what your favorite song is from this album. I'm really curious to know. And you can click this playlist to go to my praise reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Twice reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!